Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome
Hey,
back to
hey,
the Fantasy
hey.
Few. We are without our beloved Stone today. He's feeling a little under the weather, so we're
Poor
going to give him the
baby.
day off. In this video, actually, first of all, I'd like to say if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe.
Smash it.
Once you hit them like buttons, it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps put our content towards the top of the page, so you guys will see more of it. So getting into the video today, we have Friday, Flex Friday. Um, we're going to give you guys, I guess, one player versus another, and we think they're difficult decisions on who you should potentially start. We're going to try to give you a little pro and a little bit of a con of why, and then we'll also choose. And as you can see right there, we got little Ruby Doob in the video.
Ruby.
Um, Well, yeah, we're going to try to give you guys a little bit of pros and cons of each player. We'll make a decision of who we would pick, and then maybe if you guys have a different choice, let us know in the comments. Getting into number one, we have Matt Breida, who they play New England this week. In those last couple games, he has 17 carries, 105 yards, one touchdown. He adds 6 receptions, 67 yards, and another 2 touchdowns. And on the other hand, we have Ramondre Stevenson, who they played Buffalo. In the past 3 games, he's had 51 carries for 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'll give it to you, Mason. Go ahead, start.
Guys, this is, in our opinion, kind of a hard matchup if you're left in this position to start either or. You guys might have a deep league. This is where we're pulling this stuff out of. So I'm looking at Matt Breida. The guy's been electric lately. I love everything he's doing. If you guys have been listening to us previously, we've been saying, hey, pick up Matt Breida, put him on your bench. If you need a flex, I know we got running backs on bye this week. And then we got Ramondre Stevenson. The dude is an absolute monster. He trucks people. When he gets the ball, he runs like a madman. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Marion the Barbarian Barber. I think that's his name, Marion Barber. Yeah,
Yep.
baby. He
Yep.
kind of reminds
I
me of
like
that.
it. I like that.
I am going to have to go Matt Breida this week. I think he is taking a bigger role when it comes to that backfield. I know New England's playing tough. Their defense is going to shut a lot of things down, but I also think Buffalo's line is very tough. Give me Matt Breida in this, guys. Start Matt Breida in the flex.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you. And that's nothing to take away from Ramondre Stevenson. I love your pro comparison for him. I believe he's a little bit more of a Maurice Jones-Drew than a Marion the Barbarian, because he kind
Interesting.
of
Is
has
he
that sneaky speed.
5'4"?
No, but he has that sneaky speed. He's not a big guy. He's kind of a little bit of a bowling ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, he is.
But I do love his matchup. I love both their matchups, to be honest. I just think Matt Breida, like you said, he's garnering more attention in this offense. He's taking over for Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. And Ramondre Stevenson, he's going up against a guy who I think is having a very stellar year, and Damian Harris, who he has to fight for touches.
Yep.
And this might be a different conversation if Devin Singletary or Zach Moss were playing like Damian Harris this year, but that's just not the case. So I think
True.
as good as a second fiddle of Ramondre Stevenson is, I would take Matt Breida in this case.
All right.
So now, jumping into our second matchup, it's going to be Van Jefferson versus Jacksonville. His numbers, he hasn't had more than 3 receptions in a game, but he is averaging about 7 targets over the last 3 or 4 games. And then Tyler Lockett, they are going up against San Francisco, a very good defense at the moment. In his last 3 games, he's had 9 catches on 18 targets. His fantasy production has been 3 points, 14 points, and 10 points. I'll let you start, Mace.
Guys, looking at everything, I think Van Jefferson versus Jacksonville is a little more appealing to me right now. I think San Francisco is playing red hot. They are going to play Seattle very tough. That defense is coming on strong. Van Jefferson, I think as soon as Robert Woods went down in that offense, Van Jefferson had to step up and kind of take part of his role. I think he's so important to the offense right now. He's been in there for 2 years. You look at OBJ and you think, yeah, he's probably going to get some love. Cooper Kupp's going to get some love. But I think in Jacksonville, they've got a couple pieces in their secondary. But you really got to focus on Cup and you really got to focus on OBJ right now. I think Van Jefferson can be running wide open down the seam. I think he could get 5 to 10 catches versus Jacksonville. So I'm gonna go Van Jefferson. I know Tyler Lockett has been a little better the last 2 games, but that's just my take. Put Van Jefferson in the flex.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. And I feel like Van Jefferson was also about 4 inches away from having a second touchdown on Sunday with that little trick play by Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
But going into it, like I said, he's only had about 3 receptions each game, each of the last 4. That's not crazy. And to me, that almost means he kind of has to put up some of those maybe Deshaun Jackson type numbers early on in the year that he had, where he gets that 60-yard catch to really make it worth anything. And I know you guys aren't as, I guess, on board with Tyler Headache as I was at the beginning of the year. This offense is going through a pretty tough time right now. Russell Wilson, he's coming back from the injury. He's probably looked maybe the worst he has his entire career, even his rookie season at the moment over this last 3 games. But we're talking about this a little bit before the episode. And we're both kind of in agreement that we feel Seattle, they're going to break out eventually. It's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. The only thing I would say that makes me a little bit weary in starting Tyler Lockett is they've openly acknowledged they're not feeding DK Metcalf right now. Their team is saying that they need to get him involved. They want to get him involved. I feel like if this is the narrative they're coming out with to the media, it's certainly almost going to reflect in game when they play that they're probably going to look to favor DK a little bit more than what they would Tyler Lockett, simply because they're trying to get him involved. They want him to kind of pick back up in the offense, and they want to get this offense going. But I would probably stick with Tyler Lockett just for now, only because of what you said, Mason. His points that he's put up recently is a little bit more acceptable, in my opinion, than taking a chance on Van Jefferson. I'd rather have that 12 to 14 points, or I guess you never really know what they're going to put up, but with him averaging basically 12 points, 10 points the last couple games, I'd rather take a chance on having that average than maybe having a bust in Van Jefferson this week.
OBJ also did not practice Thursday, so that might lean into some things. But anyways, let's get going on to number 3.
So number 3 is going to be Mike Williams versus Cincinnati. He's averaging about 6 targets a game with minimal yards. We'll talk about that in a second. And his counterpart is going to be Jeudy going up against Kansas City defense. He as well. He's averaging about 6 targets a game, and he's had less than 50 yards in 3 of the last 4. Go ahead and start.
Each one is kind of like, man, this is a headache if you have to choose who to start in the flex, because Mike Williams, first 5 games of the season, he looked like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Ever since, he has fallen off. You do not want to have to start Mike Williams. That Cincinnati secondary defense, they're full of veterans. They've got some young pieces and some guys that just know how to play football well. I do not like those odds going against Justin Herbert. Kind of like Justin Herbert has ups and downs. If Justin Herbert has a down week, then it's probably only going to Keenan Allen, and then Mike Williams is getting you another 5 points. Jeudy, I think he's slowly coming on. His performances haven't been great lately. But if you have him on your roster, you kept him throughout this whole time, or you picked him up when hoping that he would make some splashes this year. And so here's my take on this. If you are going against somebody where you know they're projected more than you and you just need something that's gonna like big to help you win the game, go with Mike Williams in hopes that he can get you 20, 25 points. If you are kind of just looking for that safe play, I think Jeudy can squeak out, 10 points. And obviously he has that upside. He's probably that star receiver on that team. So I think you look at your situation on your team and then you go for it. But honestly, if I have to pick right now, I'm going Jeudy. Just it's easier.
Yeah, I like both those takes. And I'm in agreement with you with the Mike Williams thing. It's kind of like you're playing for that deep shot downfield, or him breaking away from a defender and running for 70 yards. But to me, it's hard to kind of put my faith in Jeudy as being one of those owners that held on to him all 6 weeks while he was out. Him coming back, I feel like this offense has just digressed so much. A lot of it falls on the shoulders of Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater was benched or he got hurt at one point. They brought in Drew Lock. He played so poorly that they put back in a hurt Teddy Bridgewater. Um, so I mean, it's hard for me to want to start any Denver receiver at the moment. But like
That's a good
you made
point.
really good points with Mike Williams, though. He's going up against the defense that is playing really well. They just completely mud stomped, which I believe is the exact word Stone used. That's why I try to bring that in. They mud stomped Pittsburgh Steelers last week.
Yep.
So I think they can have a similar kind of day against them. Obviously, they're not going up against 45-year-old Ben Roethlisberger this time. They're going up against a young gun, Justin Herbert, who I think
Yep.
is going to play pretty well. But I think I'm going to take a chance. I would actually go with Mike Williams in this situation.
I like it.
Just because, like you said, it's if you have that 1 week where you kind of have to maybe pray for a miracle or hope you play your cards right and have the biggest possible blow up you can. That's what I'm going to be playing for because I'm down in a lot of my leagues. I kind of have to win out to even have a chance at some of these games or to make the playoffs. I do love everything you said about Jared Jeudy. It's hard for me having had him on my roster and played him the last couple of weeks of getting those minimal points. Like you said, it just makes you a middle of the road team, not necessarily one scoring as many points as you can each week. We'll jump into number 4 though. We have Kendrick Bourne going up against Buffalo versus Christian Kirk going up against Chicago. With Kendrick Bourne, he's had at least 4 targets in the last 3 or 4 games. And then with Christian Kirk, he's averaging about 6 targets a game with DeAndre Hopkins being out. I'll let you go ahead and take over.
All right, guys. Just naturally, I have to lean towards Christian Kirk right now. I've been kind of an avid believer in throughout the year. I do believe that Christian Kirk can have a decent game, but Nuke comes back this week. I bet Nuke gets some love, but against this kind of, I think you can pass on Chicago. I think Arizona has just they've had some struggles over the last 3-4 weeks with injuries with Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. They're back. They're healthy. They're probably ready to get things going. So I believe that Arizona is going to have a crazy air raid game. I think Christian Kirk has a chance to get some love. I hope he gets 6 to 8 targets. There's a chance he can get a touchdown within that. And yes, they are going to destroy the Chicago Bears. Maybe not. Bears are still decent, but I'm going Christian Kirk over Kendrick Bourne. What's your take?
Real quick, I'll get into this. I know we've talked about Kendrick Bourne a couple different times in the past week or so, whether it be talking about Mac Jones and his kind of rise at the moment or just talking about this team in general, waiver pickups. I love Kendrick Bourne. I've had him on my roster the past couple weeks. But like I said, he's getting minimal targets and he's being able to do work with it. Obviously, that's not always going to continue. I know he's put up 2 20-point games just in the past 4 weeks. But I'm going to have to go with Christian Kirk. Like Mason just said, even though Nuke comes back, I don't think the Chicago Bears secondary can really hold up to the type of offense that under the actual command of Kyler Murray that this team is like their potential of what they can put up. I know it's probably going to, I hope, be not a shootout because the Bears aren't built for those. And I also don't want it to be a blowout being a Bears fan. But I can see Kyler coming back and just moving that ball around like he did in the beginning of the year. And Christian Kirk kind of being vintage Christian Kirk and getting a 60-yard touchdown at some point.
I'm hoping.
So I would go with Kirk as well in this one.
Let's go. Can I say something? I made the choice to leave Christian Kirk in one of my bigger leagues over Michael Gallup last night. Michael Gallup scored 11.5 fantasy points in a half PPR league. Kind of sad, but I'm hoping Christian Kirk can do a little more than that. So let's go, Christian. Get me some freaking points. All right, back to you, number 5.
So yeah, getting into number 5, this is going to be our last matchup for the week. We have Miles Sanders at the Jets. In his last 2 games since returning from IR, he's had 17 carries, 158 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Versus Elijah Moore, who is playing Philadelphia over a 4-game span. He's had 22 catches, 33 targets, 315 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I'll go ahead and start this one. I love everything about Elijah Moore. I kind of hyped this kid up from the beginning of the year. I said that he could have a possible similar career path as A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. Obviously, what they all share in common is coming from Ole Miss, playing on the same team together. But Elijah Moore came out not having the same type of physique as A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. He's not the same type of monster that they are. He's a great receiver. I was surprised he slipped all the way to the second round. I think what he's doing in this offense, regardless of if it's Mike White, Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, I think he's just kind of showing that he's the number one guy. Still a little bit underneath Jamison Crowder, in my opinion, because Crowder is a go-to. He's a target machine. Obviously better than Corey Davis. His team is obviously playing more of the pass game right now, having Michael Carter out for the past couple weeks. Miles Sanders, I mean, the numbers just speak for themselves. He's put up decent numbers in the past 2 games, but I just don't think Nick Sirianni's offense fits him very well. So I'm going with Elijah Moore.
Yeah, man. I think it's easier to go Elijah Moore, but I do know that Philly's defense has come on when they're playing teams that are kind of middle of the road, horrible. They do really well against them, obviously. So Philly's corners, their secondary is decent. They're playing well. There's a chance Elijah Moore's the number 1 wide receiver. Maybe he gets locked up. I don't know, but I'm not going to bet against Elijah Moore. In this situation, I have this exact situation. I'm starting Elijah Moore over Miles Sanders, but I still have to start Miles Sanders in other leagues at the running back position, and it's really frustrating me. And I'm hoping that he gets me 30 freaking fantasy points against the New York Jets. I don't know. I hope it happens. So if that's the case, then he's probably going to outscore Elijah Moore. But no, in this exact situation, I am starting Elijah Moore. Let's go, baby. All right, I think that's wrapping it up.
Yeah, like I said, that was all the matchups that we were going to talk about this week. If you guys liked the video, please comment, subscribe. Let us know maybe who you thought should have been on this list that wasn't. Let us know some of your guys' flex issues that you might be having this week. I know I typically point up to subscribe. It's not there this time. Stone is the one. He typically gets us out of here. But like I said, if you guys did like it, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm. It puts our content up higher on the suggested pages. But that's enough for me. We'll give it over to Mason.
Fantasy Few out, baby. Let's go.